Today we want to take a look at crowd control effects in Diablo 4, and hold on before you think, I know what CC is, I am no dummy, let's make a bet. You watch this video all the way to the end, and if you learn something new, you have to subscribe. So in total we are going over 10 crowd control effects in this video, starting with slowed, which is a pretty obvious one, which means the movement speed is going to be reduced. But what's important is that you can see this in the game by the little circle that is around the feet of the monsters. Then next up we are having the immobilized one, which means that enemies are not able to move anymore, but they can still attack or cast skills. So best would be if you would keep some distance to them. And this is showed in two ways. It's one, the little foot right here that has those little ranks around it, and the immobilized message right there. Next up, we are having the knockback. An enemy is being knocked backwards from his location. If he hits the terrain, some skills make him take damage. So if you're, for example, hitting back one of those monsters, like against a wall, sometimes you're dealing damage. And you can see the knockback by this little splash effect right here, and then the monster is flying. But this also applies to yourself, so you can also get knocked back. Then we are having something similar to the knockback, but a bit more impactful. This is the knockdown. An enemy is actually knocked to the ground and needs to stand up again before he can do any actions. This also applies to yourself. So this is a pretty heavy CC because you cannot cancel it. You have to wait for the animation. Similar with the knockback. While you're flying in the air and are knocked back, you have no actions about your character. Then we are having the taunt. An enemy that taunts attacks the target that taunted him. So here in this example, we are having the necromancer, and he is sending his blood golem into a group of monsters. And then you're seeing the skull right here, which means everyone that has the skull above his head is now attacking the blood golem and not yourself. So you know exactly where to position to be in a safe zone and get your effective DPS up. Then next up we are having a mix. So it is referred to as chill, and chill also applies the movement speed reduction. It's similar as slow, but then can be stacked up, and at max stacks it turns into a freeze, and a freeze is similar to a stun, which we are coming to at point number 10. So right here we're having a chill where it is only slowed, and then we're having the freeze where it cannot move anymore and don't do any attacks. And we can see the indicator right here on those frost bites that the monster is getting, that are being increased. And once they are at the max, we're getting the frost effect. Then next up is the fear. An enemy that is feared runs away in a random direction, this is important, without being able to take any actions until the fear wears off. So let's imagine you're in a boss fight and an enemy gives you a fear, and a different elite pack maybe comes, and they are putting some arcane splinters on the ground, or some poison pools. You will run straight into them if you're unlucky. So fear is something, for me personally, it's a must dodge as a hardcore player. And how you can indicate it, you will basically run and you have no control. There's not a special indicator of like a color or anything above your head, which is a bit weird because we have it on all the other things. But the way it's currently casted is you see those pentagrams right there. They are being placed on the ground and then they will light up. And if you're in the pentagram while it lights up, you are then feared and run away, and the pentagram will lose its light up color. So this is the best indicator you have in your normal gameplay. Then we are having something I have not seen before. It's called chained. And this is something that monsters can do to you basically, which means an enemy casts a pillar on the ground that has chains connected to you and limits the radius in which you're able to move until either the effect wears off or you killed the pillar, which means you can see it here on the big circle. This is the area of movement. This is allowed. This is the character and this is the pillar, and you see the chains right here, and you cannot run out of the circle and dodge anything. So like, for example, if there would be like some heavy damage laying here with a lot of poison pools layered over each other, you would be in a big trouble. But you can escape this if you actually kill the pillar. And as soon as the pillar is killed, the chains will be removed and you're allowed to go freely again. So far, my personal strategy was always killing the pillar first and then moving on. So now, next up, we are having Dazed. It's basically the counterpart of being immobilized. While in Immobilized, you cannot move but still cast attacks and skills. In Dazed, you can still move but not attack or cast skills. So you're able to reposition, or the monsters could still run at you and chase you, but it cannot attack you or do any skills and damage to you meanwhile. And then last up, we are having the stun. Probably the most commonly known one, which means an enemy can neither attack or move. And this is also the same effect as the freeze. If you remember, when you apply shit, it is stacking, and then the freeze monster can neither attack nor move. So it's basically stunned. It just looks a bit more fancy than if you're doing a regular stun, which you can see around this dizzy circle above the monster's head. And you can always see the heads of the monsters or enemies nodding down until it wears off again. You have made it to the end. If you want to see more content like this regarding damage effects and life effects, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And while you wait for Diablo 4 release, check out this legendary crafting guide I made, which gives you 8 tips to not lose any of your hard-earned gold on release. Cheers!